The mission is simple: to help high achievers naturally eliminate emotional and physical obstacles so they can optimize their life for higher achievement. Welcome. You have just entered the Genesis Zone. Good day, and welcome to the Genesis Zone show. This is Dr. Brian Brown. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. I know there are probably a million places you could be today, and you've chosen to be with us, and we appreciate that. You're in for a treat today. I know I say this every single week, but I have the great fortune of knowing some amazing people. And in our ongoing Wellness Warrior series, today we're joined by Liz Hall. Now, Liz is passionate about empowering individuals to take control of their health. She is the owner and founder of the V Trainer, a customized fitness and nutrition company. After losing 100 pounds naturally, she dedicates her life to guiding others on their health journeys. She has created a proprietary micro-step approach to losing weight that drastically enhances transformational results for her clients. Liz works with individuals as well as small and medium-sized companies to provide health solutions. She has also worked with over 15 large medical practices, personally trained a former star of the soap opera General Hospital. My grandmother would love that. And has also been featured on CBS, Fox, and ABC discussing her mindset strategies. Welcome, Liz Hall.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing today?
I'm so awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today.
Awesome. In our Overcomer segment today, Liz will be sharing her experiences in the area of extreme weight loss and how she lost over 100 pounds. Liz, before we get started, tell us, so our audience can get to know you a little bit better, tell us a little bit about your childhood backstory. I've struggled with weight most of my life, and I know it started in childhood for me. And just tell us a little bit about your backstory and whether or not your struggle started then as well.
Oh, yes. So definitely my earliest memory of being overweight was when my best friend in first grade, we weighed ourselves and she was 70 pounds and I was 110. Wow. So this was in first grade, that discrepancy. That's a large discrepancy. And albeit she was shorter, and at that age, it's not that much shorter. So that discrepancy is large. That was my first memory of, okay, I'm different. It kept going. There was a little bit of a hike in college once I left high school, because I still played soccer. I still did activities. I showed horses. So I was active. And when college hit, all things off, the activity stopped and the beer started right. Higher level. And at that point, then I'm like, oh, good. So I can cope with what I'm feeling as an overweight woman. So that's my childhood was absolutely 100% always overweight and the chubby friend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there any particular obstacle that stands out to you, whether it be in your early adult years or in your childhood, that you would want to share?
In terms of what got me to the weight, it's really challenging sometimes. And I think that you'll appreciate this, especially given your background. When I check back in with who I was and that identity of the person I created myself to be, it's so vastly different from the person I am today. So sometimes I find it challenging to dip back. What I know is I had extreme low self-esteem. I had extreme low self-worth. I did experience depression. I experienced not enoughness. And therefore, if I'm not enough, I won't be lovable. So unlovable played a part in this. And what happens, what's really powerful with identities is we will make sure we're right about it. And so when I started to be unlovable and ugly and fat, and my subconscious would work to make sure that I'm correct about this in any given opportunity.
Right.
So
it's like you had this thought, but your subconscious would work on ways to validate that thought.
always, and my actions would be dictated by those thoughts, right? So a thought is just a belief, which is the deep-seated, that's what the subconscious is working from. It's just a thought repeated that we can repeat up to 1,000 times a day, which is powerful. And we'll find different ways, again, to make sure that we're right, because, and it is a lot of ego will be right, and it will fight to be right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yeah.
That's certain.
I'm just curious about how old were you when you had this epiphany that your subconscious mind was working with ways to validate all these thoughts that you were having, and that your actions would just kind of follow along. Were you a child? Were you a teenager or a young adult? How old were you?
My understanding of subconsciousness came in my 30s. Now, what I would understand are patterns still. I knew that I didn't like how I felt. I knew I didn't like how I looked. And so I would seek out support. What wasn't available to me was a psychological approach to this. So we could talk about, okay, diet here, workout here. And if my psychology isn't matching up with this, nothing is going to sustain itself. And that's why I created what I did with my company, is understanding that it must be a holistic approach to start to uncover and unravel that identity. What are the things that I'm saying to myself about myself, to myself, up to 1,000 times a day? What do I believe about myself? Because at the end of the day, if I feel unworthy, well, then what's the point of being healthy? Why would I deserve health? And there are so many. I've worked with women that were raped at a certain age, and so they have a block about that low weight, thinking that they're unsafe. So it's really getting clear of, what have I made up about this weight or myself or my circumstances that would prevent me to having what I say I want, and then breaking through it. I went through my transformation about 10 years ago, 11 years ago at this point. So it was in my 20s. I knew that I needed to make a change, and I didn't understand the power of identity. At that point of which I made the change, because it was 100-pound natural weight loss. This was not assisted. I didn't get gastro. This was, I'm tired of this. I believe that transformation, and I don't want to curse on this, but, and I don't remember who said it, but the point of transformation often is when you get tired of your own crap. Get tired of it. I got tired of saying, I'm tired of being overweight. I'm tired of being tired talking about it.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. And it was in that. And then there was a process that I went through with that. And it started with psychology, because that is the root of all things that are done. Intention matters. And making sure our psychology is rooted to get us to those intentions is everything.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned, part of that epiphany was realizing that you had these beliefs, and these beliefs had to be dealt with. Was there, and I know everybody's journey's different, but was there one particular belief that was significantly difficult for you to reprogram?
The first thing I did in my journey was reprogramming what I thought about food and the timing and the amount of which I needed it. So before this transformation, I thought I needed to have 3 square meals a day, snack as I go, right? Because there is not a lack of information about how to lose weight. What's not, again, provided is the psychology behind it and personalization.
Right.
So what I did first, the very first thing I did was change my beliefs about, I'm not going to die if I don't eat 3 meals. And I started, I'll never forget this. I started and I would have my first meal at 3:00 in the afternoon. And that to me was telling me, it was giving myself proof. I'm going to be just fine.
You're not going to starve to death.
I will not wither away and die. I will be able to survive.
Yeah.
That was the first thing. And I did that for a couple of weeks. And again, it was just retraining what I've always believed, right? Because what we can't do when getting to goals so often, and let me say this because it's very strong to say, if we want to do anything on a peace journey, we must give up our righteousness. We must be able to look at what we believe and surrender to it. That might not be true. And there could be other ways. I think that's critical when we go on any journey. Is surrendering righteousness, and so that's what I did. That was the first step. I don't need to be right about this. Let me prove myself wrong. In fact,
right. Yeah, that's so critical because we do spend this lifetime developing these beliefs, and then all of a sudden, when we have those epiphanies that, whoa, wait a minute, that belief may not be right. We have to re-challenge that on a regular basis, right? I mean, it's not like a one and done type thing, is it?
Oh, no, because ego. So a belief I've, been so attached to for, at that point, 28 years, 27 years, is now being challenged.
Right.
My ego would absolutely fight back to say, whoa, you don't know about this other way. What? Just stay safe, come back, stay fat. You know what that's like. And many people, what the devil we know is better than the angel we don't. Is that the same thing like that? Where no matter how miserable we are, because familiar gives us a sense of safety. The human nature, there's a need for certainty. And it doesn't matter sometimes at what cost that comes at. And so it's, again, surrender. So much of my journey was simply surrendering, and my journey in everything, by the way, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. So much says, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. What I'm doing isn't working. I surrender. Please guide me. It must come from something bigger than me.
That's such great advice. Such great advice. Let me ask you this, because I'm curious, because I know what I went through, and I know what other clients have gone through. In your journey, you've had the epiphany, you understand their beliefs there, you're challenging these beliefs on an ongoing basis because it has to be done. Were there ever any times that sabotage creeped in? And if so, how did you deal with that sabotage?
Oh, only all the time. and sabotage, because because beliefs are so deep rooted on it's not subconscious runs us, but we don't know about it. It's not conscious.
Right.
When we know something, we can change it and adapt. If we don't even know what's going on. And so this has been the last 10 years of my life of, okay, what is my subconscious? What is really going on there? And I had a mindset coach, and this was in the last few years, where I was for 30 days to write down my belief system. Did I sabotage? Yes. And it would be in those moments that I doubted myself. And so I allowed that to take over and go back to that old identity. So whenever we're in transformation is a process, and it's very uncomfortable. When you think of a caterpillar in the cocoon, it's extremely hot. There's a lot of pressure. It's extremely uncomfortable. Well, there are days that I can handle that discomfort like a boss. And there are days that it's too much, and that's okay too. What I've learned, and this is my one morning, this was very recently, what came to me very strongly, I was reading A Course in Miracles, and this journey is about, this will be, if I were to write anything in gold and stamp my name on it, this entire journey is about forgiveness of self and others. It is about acceptance of self and others, so that we can love ourselves unconditionally and love others as we are loved by whatever you believe. What I found is that I'm very quick to give love to other people, and yet I put conditions on it for myself. No more. And when that happens, when I'm able to forgive myself, hey, I had a piece of pizza. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. And I forgive myself. There's no guilt anymore. Whereas before, at an unhealthy mental space, it would be guilt, shame, blame. Oh, I'm never going to do this. That is sabotage in itself. So until we're very clear about forgiveness, acceptance, and love, it's a very tough journey, and it doesn't have to be. And I tell my clients, you must do the work, and you don't have to do it alone. Yeah. That's key.
Yeah. Forgiveness, acceptance, and love. Those are huge. And I think you would probably say that they're universal with most every client that you work with, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
With every human being that walks this planet.
Mm-hmm. Would you say self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others is probably the biggest of the three?
I think that it's the biggest that people struggle with. And it blocks the acceptance. And therefore that blocks the love. I think forgiveness is the pivotal point of joy, of peace, of coexistence.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's first, that's one, to lead to acceptance, to lead to love. If I don't forgive myself, how could I accept myself?
Yeah. That's so true.
It can't exist.
So you're on your journey. You've had these epiphanies that you have some beliefs that need to be challenged. You're challenging them. You're learning how to deal with sabotage. What has been the ultimate impact? And it doesn't have to be physical impact. I mean, what's been the ultimate impact of walking this journey?
I used to blame and be a victim of this. And I see today what a blessing it is to be able to overcome this in a way that I have forgiven, accepted, and loved myself, for me to then be a space for others to have. That is the biggest blessing that I could have. So from victim to gratitude, from judgment to acceptance, from judgment to gratitude. It's going right back to be like, you know what? And it strengthens my faith in just about everything else, because I see why that was designed for me. That was for me. That was not to me. That was all for me, so I can give. That's what we're here to do. We're here to make people's lives. I forget who said it. We're here to help people. And if you can't help people, at least don't hurt them. I am here for something bigger. Not only, there's not a malicious bone in my body, so hurting somebody is not going to be a concern for me. However, I am here to help. And it is by grace that I'm able to do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome. So the title of the show today is The Single Most Important Factor in Losing Weight. I've heard you say that it's not what people think. It's not diet and exercise. So what is the single most important factor in losing weight?
Mindset and belief structure.
So the 6-inch space between our ears.
Everything. Everything. Whether it's a financial goal. I talk a lot about comparing weight loss to finances. I call it health poverty to financial poverty. At the basis of my self-worth, if it is low, I will only produce that results in low returns. Yep. It's all the same. If I don't feel like I'm able or worthy of reaching a health goal. So the first thing to say, so the 3 statements that must be rooted when we're going after a goal, specifically, let's talk weight loss, is I must do this. And in that, there's a belief that starts that I can. So I must do this. I must do this. A change needs to be made. And it's not like I should do this. I must do this right now.
Right.
And I can is the second question. or the second statement. I can do this. I must do this. And I can do this. I can do this because I've done other things. So my track record for getting through days, 100%, nailing it. I've gotten through every single day that I've ever lived. 100%, pretty good track record, which means I can get through this. I just need a plan in place and some strategy. That's fine. Hows are easy. The whys are what are deeper. And then I will. So I must, I can, and I will. And then we attach some action to it. It's so simple and it's not easy. I never take away from the experience of the journey. It is simple in achievement and it's not easy because of those things that creep up. And you said sabotage, I say ego, tomato. That ego can be so strong sometimes, and those belief structures can be so deep sometimes that there's just massive confusion. Anybody that's ever gone through any sort of ascension of self, of kind of awakening of wait, not everything I knew is right. It's extremely uncomfortable. Growth and growing pains are very real. And so when losing weight, especially massive weight, where you may have to rebuild a lot of things of I'm safe when I lose weight, powerful, big. It's just no small feat.
Yeah. And when you, when you have as much weight to lose as 100 pounds, you know, being able to push through mentally those months where nobody notices. The scales are moving, you know, the scales are moving, but nobody's saying anything like, oh, I can tell you've lost weight. That doesn't come. A lot of people don't realize who don't have weight issues. That doesn't come for 3 or 4 months sometimes. And you've got to stay strong in that process.
I'll tell you something from my personal, because everybody's body is different and everybody's journey. What throws me off and goes back to my ego sometimes is when I do hear you've lost weight, because if I dip back into my old identity, that's not a safe space. Whoa, let's sabotage that. So I see it both ways. My personal experience was whenever I got that acknowledgement, I would backtrack a little bit. My journey was I was losing weight, and then I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, put on a medication that would make me gain weight. And my mentality, this is all mindset. I acted as if it wasn't there. And my doctor said, this doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make science sense as to how you're losing the weight at which you're doing with this medication. It hasn't happened and it doesn't happen. It doesn't, but I acted as if, and that's the power of thoughts. And that's why power of thoughts, thinking mindset is the most important when going on weight loss. It is everything. It's a belief. You must believe it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible, you will find every way around it.
Yeah, I must do this. I can do this. I will do this. That's so beautiful. And when you were talking about I can do this, I don't know if the listening audience caught this, but let's circle back to it, because there was something really important that you said that we need to magnify so people understand this. If you're on a journey and there's something you're struggling with, where in the back of your mind, you may be saying verbally, I can do this, but in the back of your mind, you don't necessarily 100% believe it. What you said is find some area in your life where you were 100% on and you did it. And you need to attach that feeling and that belief to that statement. Is that what I heard you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take something simple.
Yeah.
I can brush my teeth. I do it every day. This was a learned behavior. We didn't come out of the womb brushing our teeth. This was a learned behavior built by habits over and over and over again. Same thing with this. And it is a mindset where you're going to continue saying, I got this. I got this. I've done something. And just like you said, attach anything with the emotion. Emotion creates motion. Emotion is a moving target for you to move you to your goals.
And that works both ways. Negative emotion can create negative motion, and positive emotion can create positive motion Is that right? Is that
We
fair?
are constantly choosing. We are always in motion, right? The only constant is change. We are constantly choosing every split second of every single moment, right? So constantly. So, and they're going to be there. Both positive and negative are going to come up. Which do you follow?
Right.
What do you give your energy to? Where energy goes, where your focus goes, energy goes. If I'm focused on what's missing, I just put up a video today on my personal Facebook page. So today I did a CrossFit workout, and I could have focused on that I didn't do the top prescription workout. I didn't focus on that. I focused on the fact that I used to weigh over 300 pounds, and I did an exceptional job. I mean, I just killed it. I crushed the workout. What am I focused on? And what is a better feeling? It's not about positive thinking. It's about reality.
Right.
It's about how do you want to feel? You want to feel like Eeyore? Fine. There's no judgment from me. I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want that energy. I want my energy moving forward in a positive way where I'm enjoying it, where I'm enjoying my company. I want to be my own best friend. With unconditional love, just like I give my friends. They mess up. Cool. It's okay. You know, how I treat somebody else is how I deserve to be treated by myself.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that, you know, I think psychologically, I think we as humans think that we have to have a big win in order to celebrate it, like 100-pound weight loss. But not necessarily. You said it can be a win as simple as you brushed your teeth today. That's a learned behavior. And you nailed it yesterday, you nailed it today. Or as simple as, you know what, you walked into a gym. Less than 3% of the entire world does that, you know, and you exercised, you took the bull by the horns and you did something. And I think psychologically people think, oh, I don't have a big enough win to celebrate. And what you're saying is it can be the smallest of wins, but it's the emotion attached to that win that matters. Is that right?
It's where you're focusing. Are you focusing on that you didn't work out for 4 hours, which isn't going to get you sustainable results? Or are you focused on the fact that you put your tennis shoes on today with the intention of going, and even though you didn't make it to the gym today, you put your tennis shoes on, and that was a micro step more than what you did yesterday. And if you keep micro stepping each day, it's a matter of time, but it's in those moments of judgment of ourselves that will dictate if we keep going. If I sit here and beat myself up, the likelihood that I'm going to do something nice for myself, like go to the gym, because we work out because we love our bodies. We eat well because we love our bodies, not because we hate them.
Right.
If we hate them, we keep not doing stuff, or we keep sabotaging, or however you want to see this. If I have a negative mindset and I beat myself up over the fact that I didn't get to the gym today, the likelihood of me being motivated to go tomorrow is very low. Instead, I'll say my intention was there. I put my tennis shoes on. I couldn't quite make it. That's awesome. Awesome job on the tennis shoes. Self high five. It's a choice. Or beat yourself up, right?
That's awesome. Awesome. I've heard you talk about body empowerment. What do you mean by that term? For those that are in the listening audience, what do you mean by body empowerment?
Right here as you are. Accept and be grateful. When I think about this, I build people to believe in themselves. I remind them of who they are. This is not something that I do for them. This is all internal that just needs to be brought out, right? Everybody has everything that they need already within themselves. I'm here to be a space to empower you to remember. I'm not telling you, I'm having you remember who you are and what you're capable of. And it's through the system of micro steps that builds confidence. You're not coming out of the womb again confident. It's built. It is not born, it is built. And that's what we do. Confidence creates empowerment. And it does start with forgiveness and acceptance, just as you are right now. There's no reason where you're at right now. I still have weight that I'd like to release. And today I love my body as if I were Heidi Klum. That this has your weight does not dictate your worth. Are you happy with where you're at? Do you feel the healthiest? This is what matters.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally get that. And it's so true. I mean, I recently went for an annual physical, and the doc said, he said, you're a little overweight. And I said, well, you should have seen me several years ago. I was 390 pounds. I said, so the way I look at it, I'm doing pretty darn good. And I didn't let it rattle me. I didn't let it upset me. Used to, I would have tied my whole identity to it. I would have felt shame. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing exceptionally well. In fact, I will say this. I take off 1 or 2 pounds a year, generally a little bit more than that. But the average American gains 1 or 2 pounds a year. So I figure I'm ahead of the curve, and you gotta find those moments of positivity. And that's exactly what you're telling people to do. I love that, the way you put that. And we're going to talk more about that, those micro steps. I'm going to bring you back in another show, and we're going to talk about that, because I think that's so important for people to understand what that process is. I love that.
Momentum. It is momentum. And I want to go back to what you just said, because it's so critical, especially with somebody that's lost a lot of weight, a substantial amount of weight. And you know what? Sometimes it's even if you've lost 5 pounds. Some days the focus gets to be, I'm not going to gain the 100 pounds back, the 5 pounds. That's the goal. Not that I'm losing more weight. You see the difference? There's a distinction between I need to lose more weight.
Right.
And you know what? My goal here is to just not gain it back.
Yeah.
And that is a mindset and a choice in itself, right? So there's so much acceptance in this, and forgiveness, and allowing, just like the moon, we go in phases. We all go in phases. I mean, women, forget about it when you think of hormones. So like every month, right? But all of us are constantly changing on a cellular level. Every 7 years, your entire body turns over.
That's exactly right.
I just had this conversation about marriage. You make it through the 7-year itch, you're good for another 7. Then see if you're growing together, because that's what goes on there. And I'll digress because I could go on, but we must be kind to ourselves if we want to get anything done. Because what's it all worth anyways? Nobody hears those silent conversations of us beating ourselves up. It's not like we're a martyr. Like, oh, well, if I say it to myself, maybe somebody else won't say it. No, if somebody wants to say something nasty to you, they're going to say something nasty to you. Why are you doing it to yourself? I tell moms, I work with a lot of moms. If you would not say this to your child, please don't ever think about saying it to yourself.
Oh, great advice. That's worth repeating. Repeat that one more time.
If you would not say this to your child, please do not say it to yourself.
Love it. It's so true, because I mean, we can, with all that shame and all of that self-loathing that we can store up inside of us over a lifetime, we have a tendency to do that. And we talk to ourselves like dogs.
Dis-ease. We want to talk.
And we don't treat anybody else like that, but we treat ourselves like that.
The first will forgive somebody else and shun ourselves. First to love somebody when they mess up, first to shut down love and condition it for ourselves. This world on a collective would really benefit from us just starting to talk nicely to ourselves and having that humanness of I'm not perfect. There's nobody perfect. It's not even real. So again, surrendering. There's so much surrender as we create and go on our journeys of, oh, there is no perfect. I just made all of that up. Cool. Yesterday, I mentioned to you, I wore my pants inside out the whole day. Now, at one point, I could have gone to the bathroom and changed, and I said, you know what? This is just it. This is just it. I'm not going to stop my day to go. It is what it is. I'm not hurting anybody. And I mean, the conversations I could have had about myself, I'm so stupid. What was I thinking? You can't even put your pants on right. That could have gone down a rabbit hole. I laughed.
That's awesome.
Anybody else that put their pants, you start to open up a little bit. Like, I wonder if anybody else in the world put their pants on inside out. You know what I mean? And
so for those that are in the listening audience that are just now meeting Liz, she is the consummate cheerleader for everybody. But you need to know she's also the consummate cheerleader for herself, and she practices what she preaches. So yes, that's such an awesome perspective. Wear your pants wrong side out all day long and just like, oh, well, it's no sense in doing anything about it now, and just roll with it and laugh with it.
Laugh at it. Okay. So when I messed up, I mean, it's more fun. What else are we doing here? Because I don't want cancer.
Yeah.
When I'm older, we all have cancer cells, but you know what I mean? I don't want dis-ease.
Right.
When it's a matter of choice to just be kind to myself.
And notice how she said that, people. She said dis-ease, dis-ease, not necessarily disease, but dis-ease. She doesn't want dis-ease. And that's an important point there, because I think so many people live with the disease of dis-ease. And it's an important distinction there. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for the acknowledgement. People give up on themselves. And that's what I'm here to do. And that is why I do what I say. I'm the world's cheerleader to remind them, to have them remember, to bring them forward. I don't call people out. I call them forward.
Mm-hmm.
If you're giving me excuses that I've most likely used with myself about the journey, I'm going to call you forward to another option.
Right. In other words, I can imagine you saying this to a client. It's okay that you don't believe in yourself right now, because I have enough belief in you to believe for you. And you just let me do the believing right now because I believe in you.
I can't have that. And not to contradict you, I have to have them believe that it's possible. I don't need them to believe that it's going to happen in 6 months. I need them to believe that it's possible for them to get forward motion. Not even the goal, right? So then we back it up on the micro step.
My mantra has always been allow for the possibility. Allow for the possibility. And that's exactly what you're telling people. Allow for the possibility. There's so much power in that, because you know what?
I'm writing that down. Allow the possibility.
Allow for the possibility.
I love that so much.
Because what Liz is talking about there in that statement is hope. We all need hope. And if we can just allow for the possibility, it gives us that hope that, you know what? Maybe Liz is right. Maybe there is a way to challenge these beliefs. Maybe there is a way to love myself and forgive others and stop living in shame. Maybe there is a way. I'm going to allow for the possibility. So, yeah, awesome.
I wrote that down immediately. I just love that. And it's, imagine it turning out even better than what you thought.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Right? And again, it's not this positive thinking, it's expansion. Mm-hmm. This is what I believe in. This is what I practice, is expanding my mind, my thoughts, my circle. I want to expand my mind to see, because what we can't, and that's why I'm so grateful for my journey. If I've never seen a jet airplane, I don't know that it's possible to ride on it.
Right.
And that's when I just got goosebumps. Thank you. I just got goosebumps, because this is why I get to share my story. And for so many years, I was so ashamed of it. I judged myself for getting to that weight. The reality is I'm here to show you it is possible. And now we get to believe, but there's some uncovering, it's not, when we have massive amounts of weight, I created what I needed. I created what I needed because I know other people need it. If I need it, other people need it.
At what point, and I'm switching gears just a little bit, but it's still on the same topic. At what point did you value the journey that you had been on?
Very recently, my friend. Very recently. Absolutely.
I mean, so you've lost the weight and the 100 pounds is gone. And it wasn't until recently that you just said, I really value the journey that I've been on, weight and all, warts and all.
I can't tell you how many times people told, so for probably 2.5 years, we'll say, there was a woman that goes to my gym that kept saying, you must tell your story. And again, there was so much guilt around it. I said, no, it's, what, and in my mind, I thought everybody, I believe, right? And so in my mind, everybody can do it.
Yeah.
My neighbor, so within the last, let's say 8 months, said, what you have done is incredible. And I said, nah, I mean, again, because my thinking is anybody can do it.
Yeah.
He said, okay, but you did it. And so it really wasn't until and I believe God keeps putting those messengers in until I get it. Now, like maybe one day, Dr. Brian, like maybe one day I'm really going to believe that this was a big deal. What I do know now is I don't need to talk about myself. I need to help people. That's what I need to do. And that's, I think a lot of it is, I don't need to talk about me and how I did it. I need to figure out what's going to get you to your goal. That's what I care about. I don't care about, I need to care about what's blocking you, what's holding you up so you can get what I got.
Right. Well, that's awesome. And I'm so glad. I didn't know where that was going to go when I asked the question, by the way. But I'm so glad to hear you say it wasn't until recently that I learned to value the journey, because I think many of us that struggle with weight or whatever it is, depression, anxiety, it doesn't matter. We have these struggles, and I do think it takes a long time for us to find the value. And you know what? Yeah, I did this, and I'm proud of myself for that. And other people need to hear that. It's not a selfish thing. And I think we have this human tendency as good boys and girls, so to speak, to think that automatic thought of like, oh, people don't want to hear my story. That's being selfish. But
oh yeah, who would want to hear about me? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Have you been, just out of curiosity, have you been able to take that new leaning into that? Have you been able to take that and work with your clients and help accelerate their timeline of learning the value in their story?
I love that you say leaning, because this is a fairly new concept for me with feelings, actually, of all feelings, leaning into it and allowing it. I don't know if you can teach compassion, and by the grace of God, I don't need to learn it. I have it. I'm not sure where it comes from, and it doesn't matter. I have it. So no matter where somebody is at, they will be met with compassion. And when it's such an intimate, because it ties to psychology, this is an intimate relationship. I take that very seriously. And so, and I don't even know where I'm going with this, except we must give ourselves compassion. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but I don't know where I was going with that.
No, I think enough said. We must give ourselves compassion.
And this conversation, if you have no idea what to do, hopelessness does creep in, depression will creep in, but to have compassion for our journey that led us to where we are today, whether that was, suicidal to whatever, we must be compassionate about the journey that leads us to where we're going. There are no mistakes. And there are no coincidences. I had a psychologist. I've only worked with one psychologist. It was a really tough year of my life. And he said, Liz, I will tell you it in my 65 years. Now this is over 12 years ago, something. I can say something with the utmost certainty. There are no coincidences. And that always stuck. I just got goosebumps. That always stuck with me, because there are things that happen for us for a much larger reason. And we know what we know what we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. And that space is so much more vast than we can ever comprehend. And so we must trust, forgive, accept, and love as we're navigating this journey. and you shared something with your personal journey. We may never understand where things come from in our psychology. We'll just say it like that. And if we meet it with anything less than love, it's going to be a really hard journey. And pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. And it's in those moments that we're choosing to beat up on ourselves. That's the suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. And no truer words. I love it. And going and just circling back really quickly to what you felt like you were getting stuck. I don't think you were getting stuck. Compassion is the word, but it boils down to trust. And you said it. You said, we have to learn to trust. And I think we have to learn to trust ourselves. We have to learn to trust others. We have to learn to trust the journey. And I think that's so hard for people, especially if you're the one going through the journey. It's hard to trust the journey.
Listen, I'm about to get rid of my home to travel because I'm guided to. It sounds insane. It actually sounds insane, but the reality is I'm living out my dream. Be careful what you wish for. But when I started my company, I said, I want to be able to work from anywhere in the world to help people around the world. I said that in a declaration over 7 years ago. Wow. The universe listens only every time, and things they work. I mean, it's so critical what we say. And, when we speak on identity, and I caught my friend before, when I actually kind of feel bad for people in my space that talk negatively about themselves aloud. Because if I catch it, we're going to have a conversation. It is so critical.
Yeah.
When we say things to ourselves and then we speak negatively about ourselves out loud, there's so much power in this. Yep. And even in jest, even if they say whoever they are, 90% of jokes are truth. Comedians on the large are extremely depressed.
Yep.
They want to bring out laughter in other people so that they're not experiencing the pain that they themselves are experiencing. Yeah, we think of Robin Williams. Okay, beautiful yep. man. Severely depressed.
Yep.
So I'm bringing this up for a reason. When we say things about ourselves out loud, it'll be there's always a reason. Humans always do something for a reason. I'm going to say it first so you don't say it and you hurt me. Right? Almost like when people break up with somebody because they're scared that they're going to break up with them, or I'm going to reject you before you can reject me. Same thing. I'm going to say something negative about myself so you don't say it first. It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't serve. None of that serves. It's all toxic. And I'm making this point because the first step, I think, in anything is awareness. So I talk about mindset. I talk about beliefs. If we don't know, if we're not aware of those beliefs, we can't change them.
Right.
We can't manage something we don't measure. We can't change something we don't acknowledge. And so a great first step on any transformation may just be becoming aware of the things that you're identifying with. I identified that identity. I identified with the beliefs I had. I didn't know any of this. There are so many times where I'll have psychologists, psychiatrists, I have a trauma therapist I work with where they're like, yep. And I'll explain what I would do or what I would advise. And they're like, yep, that's what we're trained to teach. And I'm like, I don't know where this comes from. I know I'm not a psychologist. I know that I underwent the psychological journey. That it's a blessing for me to be able to do that because I know it is stepping back and what did I need? Okay, when I was at this point, what did I think? Where did I go? I wanted to do I was assigned to do the heavy lifting of this so that I can teach it so somebody else can have it a little bit easier.
Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Wow. So switching gears a little bit, is there a project, a passion project that you're working on? I know you said you're about to sell your place in Florida. You're about to become a digital nomad, start traveling. What passion projects are you working on right now?
I have a feeling a book will be coming down the line. I just kind of make that up of I'm going to be traveling and journaling the travels. This is very much I call it soul, SOULO trip of remembering. I think we're constantly, again, back to that of a journey of remembering who we are. My dog passed on Christmas Eve, and she was my world, for one, my most beloved teacher, my unconditional love, acceptance, and zero space of judgment. Right, it's such a powerful transition. And when that happened, I spoke of traveling the day she passed, and I told my brother, I said, I can't travel if I have her. And I told him, I said, I would have been fine to never travel ever again if I could keep her for 1,000 years, no doubt about it. And she transitioned that night. And it seemed like, and on New Year's Eve, have you heard of this? The 12 grapes at midnight? Have you heard of this? Okay, so you eat a grape, and each grape symbolizes a month. Now, I don't know any of this, but I had just seen it on Modern Family, and I was at a house party, and they were doing this. I said, I need 12 grapes, stat, I'm doing this. And I made wishes, and what I realized was I kept thinking of places I wanted to go to, and I thought that was weird. And probably October of 2020, I joined this solo female travelers Facebook group. And again, when I joined it, I was like, this is weird. I wonder, it's cool. Like, I want to be like them. Right. And so it seemed to be that I was putting the pieces in place again to something that I declared over 7 years ago of what I wanted in my life. So that's what I'm up to. I don't know that it's a project. It's more of a new journey, I suppose.
A journey, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, very, very destined, I would say. And
writing another chapter in your book, or multiple chapters in a book,
or starting the book, to be able to do that. Yeah. And always, with the company, it's such a beautiful thing. I'm really making an effort here with companies, especially because there's so much fear around COVID. People aren't going to be comfortable to go back to a gym wherever they're at. Again, we meet them with compassion. What's lacking in wellness programs is that customization. And so much money is wasted because they're not getting the results, and the people aren't getting what they need. And so that's a really big focus on mine and what my company is after versus the individuals, although I will always help.
Awesome.
Bigger scale, because I think of corporate too as a butterfly effect. When I wrote down, my mom said years ago, and she'll yell at me for saying this, but she did. I don't care. I was at this crossroads. I always worked in sports, and I got out of sports, and I was at a crossroads where I was going to go into film directing. At the time, I was directing cameras for a baseball team, and I loved it. And I have this creative eye. I just love the arts. Or health, because I was starting on that journey. And she said, you're not going to make any money in health. And I went to bed that night, and I woke up at 1 a.m. and I wrote out about 30 pages in this journal. I still have it. I found it today, of how. Yes, I can. And this is how. And it wasn't about the money. It was about impact. How can I reach? I don't want to work at a gym and reach 20 people, although that's amazing and impactful. I want to reach corporate where they're taking it home to their children. That's where we make the difference. That's where we cut that line of crisis.
That's awesome. I love your vision, and I love your mission. And based on what you've described, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I will keep working until it does, my friend.
Yeah. I always like ending the show with a fun question. So
cool.
Yeah. If you could be gifted a superpower, What would you most like to have?
I like that question a lot. If I had a superpower, I would choose to be able to see people's shadow and love them through it. So be in a space of them to accept their shadow side, to be able to forgive themselves, to accept themselves, and to love themselves.
I think in many ways you do that already.
Oh,
yeah.
I just get response.
Yeah, just from what you've described, I think you do that already. So awesome.
I'm Superwoman.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Gosh, Liz, what an amazing story. Overcoming such tremendous hurdles and just physically and emotionally. Thank you for giving us the insight on, the most important battle when it comes to weight loss is overcoming that 6-inch space between our ears. Man, what wisdom. I know there are millions of people out there that struggle with being overweight. They struggle with the shame and the guilt that come with that as well. And I know that your story may be the very hope they need to make it through another day and become motivated, become self-motivated just to take action, of their situation. Thank you again.
I pray for this. I pray that they see that it's possible.
Yep, me too. Well, as we wrap up, I'd like to remind the listeners that in May, we're going to be seeing some announcements coming out pretty soon. In May, I'm going to be starting my new boot camp. It's a 5-day boot camp. It'll be 60 to 90 minutes each day for 5 days, starting on a Monday. And in that boot camp, which is called the Gene Hack Boot Camp, I'm going to be going over how you can identify which specific areas need to be focused on first and the master list of optimization genes that you need to have checked in order to fully optimize yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. It's going to be a boot camp that, to my knowledge, has never been done. And the information just on preliminary testing with smaller groups of people is just off the charts. You're going to love it. So stay tuned for more information. If you want to know more information or you want to go ahead and get on an early release list or early notification list, go to drbriangBrown.com/question. Shoot me over a question or a comment. Say, hey, please add me to your list. Or you can direct message me on Facebook or Instagram at Dr. Brian G. Brown. Well, that's all we got for today. Tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time for our regular In the Zone segment, where I'll be live recapping today's interview with Liz Hall. And I'll be sharing how these nuggets from today's interview fit into the Genesis Zone Advantage. I'll be answering any questions. And as usual, I'll be trying to, see what's out there as far as current topics, new breaking news in the world of optimization and functional medicine that you need to know about. Most informed, most trusted, most grateful you spent this time with us today. Until next time, stay in the zone. I'm Dr. Brian Brown.